Hello, and welcome to Solarium. Today we're going to be, attempting to make a Bavarois, and I'm just going to warn you before we even start, I'm not going to recommend or suggest even making or trying this recipe, and I say that because it has raw egg whites, and that could be very dangerous because you can get salmonella. So, this is just for my own entertainment, I guess. But what I wanted to do was kind of an imitation of the Fig Bavarois from Final Fantasy XIV, because that's just my favorite game in the world. And so, this is kind of going to be going off the rails a little bit because I made half of it by myself. So, what you're going to need, or what I used in particular, I used about 10 or 12 dried figs because fresh figs you just can't find very easily. 1 ounce of gelatin total. Powdered gelatin is what I used, but you could use leaf gelatin if you soak it before you use it. 2 separated eggs, 2 ounces of castor sugar, 1 cup of milk, and half a cup of heavy whipping cream. What I did first is I wanted to rehydrate the figs, and to do that, what I found out is you put the figs in the pot, fill up water in the pot a little bit above the height of the figs. I think they said half an inch to an inch. Boil the water, and then turn off the heat, cover the pot, let it sit for 4 to 6 hours. I even let mine go a little longer. You could take out the figs once you're done with that, but don't throw that water away. I saved that water because it is full of figgy deliciousness, like a fig tea, and we're going to use that. And so what I did is, I took out the figs first, of course. Boiled the water again. I added, I think, 1 tablespoon of sugar. You might want to add more because it was not super flavorful. But I boiled it, and then I added the gelatin to it as per the gelatin instructions, if you read it. I think I had 2 cups of fig liquid in there. Mixed the gelatin in, and then I poured it into a mold. I cut the figs in half, and I tried to situate them in a nice little pattern on top. But once you move your mold to the fridge, they probably are going to get all shuffled around, so it didn't really matter in the end for me. But maybe you might have more luck. And then you're going to want to have that set in the fridge for a while before you go on to the actual Bavarois part of this. And when you do get to the Bavarois, what you're going to want to do is cream your yolks and sugar in a bowl until they're almost white. Bring the milk to a boil and whisk it onto the yolk mixture. What I did before the next part is I lightly beat the whipped cream until it's a little bit whipped, and then you're going to want to stiffly beat the egg whites. And then I can set those to the side. After all that, I brought the yolk milk mixture. I put it in a heavy bottom pan on a low heat, stirring it continuously with a wooden spoon, or in my case a plastic spoon, until it thickened up and coats the back of the spoon. I didn't know when that happened, so I just stopped when it got thick-ish, but it insists you don't want to let it boil, just like when you're making a custard. Mine boiled a little bit. It still turned out okay, but, keep that in mind. Remove that from the heat and add the gelatin in and stir until dissolved. It's going to be very hard to do. I would recommend a whisk. A spoon had big chunks of gelatin still left over in it that would just not break apart. And then stir that occasionally until it's cool and almost at setting point. And then fold in your lightly beaten cream, fold in your stiffly beaten egg whites, and then you're going to pour that onto your set gelatin mixture you already have in the fridge, and then refrigerate that until it's set. And then, what you're going to want to do is, you're going to want to turn it over onto a plate and hope it comes out. I lightly oiled the bowl first, and it still didn't want to come out. So, I had to let mine sit upside down for a while, tap on the sides a little bit. I walked away for a couple minutes, came back, and it finally was able to loosen up and fall out with minimal issues. It still looked pretty good. And actually, I took a risk for the team and tried it, just because I needed to know if it tasted okay. I really liked it. I would eat a Bavarois custard again, maybe just by itself, not even with the figs on top. Or if I did do the figs again, maybe like mix in a fig jelly into the fig gelatin mixture and give it more of the fig flavor and maybe some texture even. But I think a Bavarois with like a chocolate sauce or a caramel sauce would taste really good. But like I said, I can't recommend eating it because our eggs here are not very safe and there is a risk of salmonella in the egg whites. But overall, I really liked it. I think it turned out good. I wanted to pay a little homage to one of the games I play, and so, of course, I went with that recipe that I can't ever recommend, but maybe I'll try another recipe from there someday. But there is a YouTube channel for that already, called A Recipe Reborn. If you go to their channel, they have some great videos on how to make certain foods from the game. So shout out to them. They don't know who I am, I'm just giving them a shout out on my little channel here. And thank you guys for joining me on this little adventure, and I'll see you again next time.